Hey, everybody. When you're in doubt, listen to this.
You got never mind, but you commit the face. I'm lost in the light to visit the place we call Mars.
The place we call Mars. That's where I think I am sometimes. And I have to tell you, if you look at Jim Carrey's new face, he may be a resident. How you doing, everybody? Happy Friday night to you all. If she doesn't like you, do this. It works. No, don't load up. And you can say, like, go to hell. But we never want to say that because, believe it or not, we end up liking these girls. God knows why. Well, I know why. Because what else you gonna do? Watch sports 24/7? If you're Jewish, 24/6? But I will tell you this much. When I was a bouncer, the deck was stacked a bit because I bounced at a really hot club in the 80s, Shout, and I also bounced at the China Club and the Cat and Heartbreak, a bunch of them. But girls would come over to you because it's amazing. People love free things and girls love bouncers. It doesn't matter what you look like. I certainly wasn't anything special, but I had free drink chips and could get you out of an hour line. My friend likes you. So it's very easy to saunter over, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what the answer is going to be unless they're setting you up. But to go in cold calling, and I started that when I was a stockbroker, cold calling. So it's rough getting through the gatekeeper, the secretary for sales, or the best friend in clubs. It can be daunting, but you have to have thick skin. Now, if you are a serial dater, which maybe some would think I was, and in the 80s, where, you know, the decade of decadence, even the priest had day glow colors on and snorted lines instead of the red wine. It was crazy. So everyone was expecting to just be crazy. The 80s was Las Vegas. What happens in that decade stays in that decade if you remembered that decade. And I did. I do. I remembered it. I made it. Danae, I made it. You know, I enjoyed it. I was in a band. I bounced. I did a lot of things. And I will tell you, worse for wear, maybe a little. Learned a lot, certainly. I'd like to go back just for a bit. Couple of things I'd like to do. And why not get this party started right about now with it? I have a girlfriend who passed away about 12 or 13 years ago of cancer, an ex girlfriend, obviously. And she found me on Facebook. And when I saw the pink shirt, I knew because her husband and two kids had it on. Fight against cancer. Hadn't spoken to her in many years. And it was heartbreaking because would I have rather thought about Karen now after not talking to her for 30 years? And I wonder what ever happened to her. Wonder how many kids she has. Is she a grandparent? Instead of knowing that she's no longer on earth. I would have rathered that. But then again, the other side of me had a wonderful conversation with her about a month before she passed away. And that is something, Hammer, that is something very, very vital when you get older. Uh, Closure. And I wish she was here for her family, not for me. Now she left 2 young children, a husband. She was about, 49 or 50 when she passed, and it was rough. Even though we weren't close, but we were having some conversations just about life in general, and maybe go back and just say, you know, "Kat, really enjoy every day." Yeah, I know, Vin. No, no, no. Listen to me, honey. Really enjoy every day. The funny thing is, live every day like it's your last because one day you're going to be right. And we try so hard to get past the albatross that has each of our names on it because we usually stop each other. We are the big mouse trap that catches ourselves. We stand in our own way. And I'll tell you why. Because your shadow, you can't get away from your shadow, no matter how hard you try. You can't. Your shadow is smart. Step behind you, but smart. Will always figure out where you're going. You look in that mirror. Mirror doesn't lie. We know when we're not doing right. We may bullshit ourselves, but we know we're not so stupid. And I remember if she doesn't like you, so what? I'm not going to go as far as to say next, which I did in the 80s. Uh, I was not going to let anyone take up rent free space in my mind. Now, I'm not saying there weren't girls that I was tormented over. There were. I was younger. And things that really bothered me about things I did, how I handled situations. And you realize that women want and are attracted. And those are two different things. Because look at all the people on second and third marriages. At 18, 19, 22, you'll get married. Oh, we'll figure it out. Yeah, but he makes $3. Ah, who cares? We'll figure it out. You marry for something different the second, third, fourth time. Now, it's also because you're older and your priorities have changed. But there is something to that old adage of everyone can't be wrong all of the time. But is it feasibly possible that you've had 7 marriages and it was all their fault? Very possibly. People hit the lotto. What are the odds on that? Now, we try to come up with little stories that we could tell ourselves to get us through a lonely night. The bottom line is whatever we tell ourselves is the shadow. We're not going to buy it. We can make believe. Some of us are real good at burying our head in the sand. But for the most part, you're kidding yourself. So why not stop kidding yourself and actually do something that's going to stick? I was always honest. If I was going, I don't want to know your girlfriends. I don't want to come for Sunday dinner. You want to go have a good time tonight? Fine. That's what I was into. I'm not giving up my band. I'm busy. I'm going to school. That was it. Sometimes you fall in love. In fact, the harder you try not to, will be the harder it is not to. It's like me, hey, G, how are you? Vinny's Angels, the Vinny's flock of seagulls. So I just think that if she doesn't like you, do this. Don't do anything. Be yourself no matter what. Because I guarantee you, if you're not yourself, eventually she's going to find out. Some are more dense than others, but, and that's for guys too. Guys are dense too. But eventually she'll catch on, just like you will. And then what? What do you do? What do you do? Oh, please, what, G? I just said guys are dense. I retracted. Guys are more dense. But I will tell you that just being yourself, it's easier to remember, and you'll get an honest response. If they like you, they like you, in spite of you. And I think that's a good way to go. So if she doesn't like you, don't do anything. Sit on your hands. That's making a decision. I remember I used to sit on my hands once in a while, not literally, but and someone would say, "Well, make a decision." I am making a decision. I'm not doing anything. That's a decision. Vinny's Angels. Oh, okay. I thought you were referring to the women of dense comment, which I don't really mean that. Yeah, well, I think this is it, Danae. I think that there are people that search out people that will torture them. You always had your wings, Maria. Uh, there are guys that pick the same girl. Why? Girls that pick the same guy because they're comfortable with it. They're comfortable with the torment. I'm a life coach. I have one person I'm trying to drill a hole in their head, and I see I need a bigger bit. And we were talking earlier, and what fits comfortably, you put in your mind it fits. You wear that suit from 10 years ago that is a size too small now, but you swear it fits because you could, hey, if I can button it, even though you're turning blue, it fits. We tend to seek comfort. But with that comes pain. How many have ever been in a relationship where you knew it wasn't good for you, but the pain of leaving it would be worse than staying with it? That happens a lot. People know that they shouldn't be with someone, but the fear of the pain of breaking up, it's going to hurt too much if I break up. I'll just stay and be in pain with this. People do that. They stay in something that they're comfortable with because you know how you have the cheat sheet. You've been through it before. So you know how to handle it. You know how long the pain's going to last. You know, when you're 17 years of age and your girlfriend breaks up with you, you're going at 8 months, you swear you're never going to love anybody, blah, 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 until the next one. And when you're my age, you don't even remember what the girl's name was. That's what happens. You forget. It's like women who get pregnant, right? Natural childbirth. I'm never having another baby, blah, 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 and they're pregnant 3 months later. You have a short memory. And it's because that's life. It has to. Yeah, your subconscious finds characteristics that we either can control or bring out something in us that we feel needs to be brought out. Look at people that get divorced. Liz and Rich Burton, what was it, 7 times? Why? Wouldn't you think after the fourth time it's not going to work? No, because they swear, but this time it's going to. This time I'm going to hit the lotto. This time I'm going to hit that big race, I bet. This time it's going to be different because that's what gets us through the day, the hope. If we don't have hope, what do we have? Right? The definition of insanity, expecting an outcome to be different when it's always the same. That's what it is. Well, being abused and neglected, and I honestly dealt with someone a few months back that I actually told them to go seek professional help. I was out of my depth as a life and health coach with that. I didn't feel that I was equipped. And she came back and wanted to talk to me as well, but I just wasn't equipped to handle that type of issue that she had going on. Yes, Danae, we know how to manipulate the chess pieces. Some of us are so behind in the race, when we look back, we actually think we're winning by a country mile. Trauma bond, yeah, yeah. Usually I tell people, something there's something in life coaching, psychology. I have a master's in economics and an under in psychology. And, well, finance actually, but I specialized in eco. I There's something called pattern disruption. If you're talking to someone and they ask you a tough question, sneeze, about 35% of the time they'll forget for at least a minute. Pattern disruption is very big. You rewire the conversation. People in business are very good at it. You think people have crystal balls? Why do you think some people have such great intuition? Is it intuition really? No, they read people. You can read people. I have a very decent skill. Within 5 minutes, I could tell you what you absolutely love, and within 10, I could tell you what you're absolutely terrified of. Put those two together in the business world, it's very good. I'm good at that. I can't get out of my own way with certain things, but I can read people generally. And many times people will think I can't. No, I'm just letting you get away with it. I know exactly who you are. When people tell you who they are, believe them. No, I know. I'm just not calling you out on it to embarrass you. I know who the troublemakers are. I hang out with, uh, groups, whether it's karaoke in bars and stuff like that. And, you know, you know who you know when you know who the drama people are. Put them all in the same room at one restaurant and see if everyone is having a good time elsewhere. Because usually, if you put all the people that cause the drama in one room, there won't be drama because those are the drama makers. Well, I've learned a long time ago the pineal gland must be functioning well. Maria, you know what? Gullibility is a very abstract term. I'll tell you why. Some people know, they just don't want to admit they know. How many women know their boyfriend or their husband is cheating on them? You know. For the most part, you know, after the fact. But can people be so oblivious? No. You know. You don't want to see it. You don't want the hurt. Playing dumb is some superpower. The OCD's kicking in with these goddamn glasses. Uh, it's some superpower, playing dumb, because playing dumb means you don't have to react. And you may have a problem reacting. You're passive aggressive, or you are just passive. You don't want to call someone out on something, so you'll make believe you don't see it. It's like when someone's child is doing drugs. If they look this way, la 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 la, they don't see it, they're not a drug addict. When they see them shooting up, now you have to address it. But not my kid. As long as you don't look, it's not there, you know? And unfortunately, though, that's not the case. We are so much more intuitive and intelligent than we give ourselves credit for. You know when something doesn't seem right. You want for the world for it to be right for you, but you know when it's not. For the most part, you know when it's not. You know, Bernie Madoff, I'm getting 47%. What do I think he's doing? Putting it on the corner in a savings account? I don't want to know. Hey, loan me 10,000 and I'll give you back 13,000 tomorrow. Something's up. People avoid discomfort because discomfort leads to having to face your own demons, right? Um, because it opens up a plethora of other things. If I ask you about your family dynamics and you say, well, my dad used to, I don't know, X behavior. And now, did his dad X behavior with him? What are the other children? What is your atypical personality? There are a lot of things involved. There's always a chain reaction, even for the most simplistic movement. Look at the atom theory, right? You put a nail in the wall and, Jim Carrey's face falls off. you know, you see what he looks like now? Like, what is he thinking? Did he look in the mirror after 4 weeks of bandages from the plastic surgeon and go, yes, you did it? What the fuck is this guy thinking? But do you think he really thinks he looks good? You think his words are going to say, oh my God? His friends are going to say, oh my God. They're going to say, oh yeah, you look great. No one's honest. And that's the problem. I like to surround myself with people that will be honest with me. Because I can buy all the bullshit I want. I have enough money to do it. Not that I have a lot of money, but you know what I mean. I want real cells. Well, Maria, it depends how much you've been hurt. It depends on a lot of things. Because look, a teenager gets devastated after a breakup. So if that were the case, why would a teenager ever give it a chance again when they're laying in bed wanting to hang themselves? Because the body functions in such a way, the functionality is where we need to get over things, because if we don't get over things, none of us would ever make it to 30. Yeah, gee, I agree with, like, come on, these people can't think they look good. They look like wax figures. Now, I understand why women do it in Hollywood. Because once you hit your 40s, you're not in a rom-com anymore, and they're asking you to be a mother. You're not the single hot chick, even though you may be. Guys, George Clooney could do a movie tomorrow at 65 with a 46-year-old. And it would be like, that's pretty creepy, but you could deal with it. You can't deal with it the other way. I don't get the plastic surgery thing. But look, if my agent told me, Vin, I heard from a producer that if you kind of look a little younger, you'll get those $10 million roles again. You know, it's something to think about. We don't understand it because we don't have to. It's like you being an accountant and someone trying to hawk a better computer at you. You can understand it. It has relativity within your job. Cupid, yeah, Cupid. He could be a little prick. That Cupid. I will tell you. I I did Botox once. I'll tell you why. I have a scar. I don't know if you could see it. Can you see it there? You could probably here it is. You can't really see it. I went through a window, car accident when I was 18, 19. Eight going to be, oh, you're going to be 19. And I wanted to see if the Botox would take the bad line out of it. So I did it. Fucking the Botox hurt. Those little needles. The needles are this big. Oh, don't worry, it won't hurt. Look how small it is. Yeah, a cyanide pill's this. So how does that do for you? You know, 1959. That's a good year. You know why it's a good year? Because my friend Pacific Northwest Maria was born that year. That's why it's a good year. And Tony Soprano was. Rocktober. How are you, man? We're just talking about if she don't like you. Oops. Next. You can't worry about it. Because just like you know what, Haley, you know what dating is like if you go into bullshit the girl? It's like me putting mystery oil. Remember putting mystery oil in your gas tank when you were going to sell your car and it calmed the engine down and you didn't hear the pistons or whatever it was. It quieted the engine down. You didn't have knocking in the engine. Well, that's what it's like to put a silk hat on a pig. You can clean yourself up all you want, but if you get caught in the rain, all that makeup's going to come off. One day, you will get caught in the rain. That's why you just have to be who you are. If she doesn't like you, you have to just say, so I'll tell you a story. This girl, Karen, who passed away, she broke up with me 87. I was heartbroken. Actually, I went to a wedding with her in 1987, and I'll show you a picture that she gave me before she died, a couple of months before she died. Um, I had a lot of hair. There I am. That's 1987. Well, she broke up with me. I was really upset. And I told her, one day you're going to be upset. Yeah, I know. 18 months later, I didn't call. I called her a couple of times, to be honest with you, in the beginning. Then I said, fuck this. 18 months later, I owed a gambling debt. I owed a bookmaker money. And I used to park my car in the back. And I see a car in front of my house. I figured someone was sitting on me. Then it moved. I went in. I hear a knock on the back window. I look. It's her. Because I used to park my car in the back. It was like a common driveway with garages, but no one used the garages for cars, they storage. So I used to block it right across from my window. I said, "Come around to the front." I didn't recognize the car because it was a different car. It had been 18 months. She used to use her father's car. She lived at Park Row in the city. And my mother, then, well, ma, stop. My friend. First thing I thought of, her mother lived in Brighton Towers or something. I figured her mother was ill. So I figured, oh, her mother must have died because her mother lives not far from here. She lived in the city, this girl, with her father. So we go for coffee. Make a long story short, you were right. I made a mistake. Blah, 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 blah. I was with someone at the time. She said, well, why don't we go out and you. Now, my curiosity was there. Of course, ego, right? And if you come up, we'll go out. You come up to my house and you park the car. I know that you want to be with me. I have to go to the bathroom and Bagel Nosh is closed after we go to Chinatown. I go upstairs. I forget. I go into the kitchen to get her water. She comes out in a nightgown. I said, oh, shit. And I kind of said to her, oh, my God. And she knew right there. We tried to be friends for a couple of months after that. In fact, she got me into U2. We went to see U2 at the Garden. And it was that right after that, a couple of months later, I got engaged. Not to her. I realized I finally did the right thing. And if you would have told me that when I was leaving this girl's house, New Year's Day, and New Year's Eve day, when she was having a party, when we had a party the year before, and now I'm not invited to this one, that I would just like poo-poo her off. I would have said, what are you, nuts? I'd do anything for her to want to be with me again. But that 18 months grew me up a lot. Also, the person I was with now, I was more invested in, obviously. But I grew up a lot. And I realized that you can't play games with people for no other reason than it's just not right. And it's not fun. Why would you have fun hurting somebody? I don't personally get it. I don't get it. I'm sure look, when I was younger, like I said, I was a bouncer, I was in a rock band or pop band, whatever it was. I was not shy, as you could tell my personality. I'm not a shy guy. I would put it right out on the table. You know, I don't have time to waste. In general, in life, it's not even whether I were to date someone. No, I'll spell it out for you. I would go over to a girl in a bar. Listen, I'm not going to buy you a drink like everybody else. I'm not going to make you believe your hair is beautiful. Obviously, you probably worked 9 hours to come here. I want to take you out. You're gorgeous. That's it. My name's Vinny. You interested? 30 seconds. Do you know that it works because they are so refreshed that you're not bullshitting them? I'm a Leo, G. August 14th. I used to take a girl out on a date, stop the car 4 blocks away and say, look, I'm going to give you a kiss now. I'll tell you why. You wouldn't be here if you weren't interested. I don't need you for 3 hours wondering when he's going to try to hold my hand, when he's going to throw, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to maul you, but right? Soon as you get out of the car, you grab her hand. It's like you had a date already. You cut through all the bullshit in 2 minutes. And I was a firm believer in cutting through the bullshit. No one has time for it. People, First of all, guys will beat around the bush because they're not confident. Has nothing to do with respecting you. No, they're not confident. They're afraid to ask you. They're afraid of rejection. I wasn't afraid of rejection. I was when I was younger. Told you I had red hair. I looked like Danny Partridge. I was teased unmercifully. And then uh, I grew into myself more. And I realized that if you live like this, you're not going to be very happy for the rest of your life. And this is like a 12-year-old talking. And my bullshit meter, I took the batteries out, and that was it. I wasn't interested in bullshitting people anymore. I was interested in just being who I was. I didn't want to insult anybody, but if it wasn't good enough for someone, then what am I going to do? If it wasn't good enough for someone, as good as an actor as I could possibly be, it's still not going to be good enough for them. Because you remember this much. Girls, look, there is something I say, and I don't say this, I'm not Machiavellian here. Most of you know that I'm not that kind of guy. Good looking girls know when they're good looking. Girls that aren't great looking know they're not great looking. Guys that are good looking know they're good looking, and guys that aren't know they're not. I don't care what you say. No one will agree with it, and no one will admit to it. But I'm telling you, this is the deal. Once you get past that, you're on your way. Because all the bullshit doesn't matter. It's what you think of yourself. I'll give you a perfect example. When I used to go out, I'd go to a club, I'd stand, right? I'd have the beer, I'd be holding it, right? I can't do it. And I'd hold it down here. I'll tell you why. Because most guys are going to be holding it up here. Right there, I stand out. Of every guy that the girl looks at, I'm the only one holding it down here. That makes me special right off the bat. Think about it. So I have already separated myself from 200 guys in that bar. Think about it. Mine, stop. That's my sign. No, I'm kidding. Leo, August 14th. August 14th. Oh, Danae, I got your message. I was going to answer you. No, I'm not leaving until next Saturday for Florida. Or as Michael Madsen would say, Florida in Donnie Brasco. Yeah, I'm going Saturday till Tuesday. I rearranged my Tuesday class I will now do on Friday. Vinny, I gave a question for all the guys. What was that? I'm a horse of a different color? Well, you better say that in the world we live in. You'll have the DEI police at your door. You live in the Pacific Northwest, forget about it. There'll be a lynching. You know why I'm honest? Listen, there were plenty of times I wasn't when I was younger. I grew into this, Maria. I grew into not going for the bullshit. I was a teenager just like everybody else. But then I just said to myself, for what? Good night, G. Yeah, Danae, sure. Anything. But yeah, no, I was an idiot. Maybe some people still think I am. I don't know. But I just, the bullshit, I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. Like I said, people, all the drama people, you put them in one room, let them all go out with each other, and there's no drama anywhere else because you took them all out of the equation. It's the same thing when you're honest. If you're honest, a girl or a guy may not like you anymore. Like, I'll give you an example. If I don't chase a girl, right? A girl's a gorgeous girl. Everyone dates her. I dated her for a while. I'm the only one that didn't come running back. All right, you change your mind, I'm leaving. I never call her back begging. I'll be the guy 30 years from then that she'll remember my name. When she forgets a lot of other guys, she'll say, there was this one fucking guy that I swore he would have come running after, just left. That was it. It's respect. And I have more respect for myself than to be looked at as an asshole. I'd rather hold my ground and seethe inside. What's a quote from The Wizard of Oz? What was your question, Danae? I'm here to answer. But, I've made a million mistakes and I learned from them. I tried to. You don't always, but I tried to. And if she doesn't like you, do this, it works. Be a friend to yourself. Oh, stop, Danae. Yeah, Maria. Oh, I'm sure you're beautiful, Danae. And let me tell you something also that I really mean. Every woman to me is beautiful. I'm being serious with you. Every woman, every woman in their own way. There were women that shout that as they spoke, they got uglier and uglier, like their face melted off as they were talking. Because, yeah, sure, Danae, anything. I just think that if you're honest, at the very least, they'll respect you. Might not like you a bit more than they did before, but at least they'll think you're honest. The beauty pageant existed in your mind. The beauty pageant never really existed. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Women don't like women. 5 women go out to a club. They're 25 years old. One girl buys a new dress. The one who always thinks she looks great. Oh, you look great. When she goes to the bathroom, 2 of them say, who the fuck does she think she is? If I see a guy, I love that tie, Lee. Where'd you get it? I'm not saying, look at Lee, thinks he's hot shit. Girls hate each other. How could you have a shot with them? If guys knew sex was off the table, I think it depends on the guy. Look, I am sure there are a lot of guys, 35-year-old guys, maybe just coming out of their sexual prowess, but still there. Wife gets sick, God forbid, an accident, wheelchair, whatever. Doesn't cheat and stays the rest of his life with her. I guess it can be done. I think it becomes more of a spiritual, not the right word, but I don't know what word to use, spiritual thing. It is a different relationship because guys use sex as a measuring, how to say it, a measuring stick. Oh, I get you, Maria. Uh, it's marking their territory. It's aggression. It's testosterone. Why do you think guys, if they're talking, you see these commercials about erectile dysfunction? It's like you just told the guy he has 3 months to live. In fact, if you would have told the guy he had 3 months to live, he probably would have been more relieved because at least he could have screwed during that 3 months. Guys are odd with that stuff. Now, I think when you're older, it's probably different. I think if you were in your 50s, your 60s, it's different than if you're in your 20s and 30s. Because you probably, if you're in your 20s or 30s and you have performance issues and you're not going to make a move on a girl, that's going to be construed as you having no confidence, uh, and like, what's wrong with you? So a guy would think that he's projecting something negatively about himself. At 50 or 60, uh, it's I'm sure it's not the first thing anymore. Danae, I think you would really know if the guy liked you, but that would only be in the beginning, you know, because look at how many guys, as young guys, went out with girls, Catholic girls in the old days or whatever, and they knew they had to wait forever. They did it. It's a good question, Danae. I'd have to think more on it. You hit me quickly with it. I think sex guys use as a tool, some are more than others, for masculinity. Look, go to Utah, Iowa. Every guy fantasize. Why do you think The Godfather is such a big movie? Every guy wants to get his ring kissed. Every guy wants the respect of the other guys. He's powerful. Women love guys with power. You see guys that are disgusting looking, that are multimillionaires. They get a 30-year-old. Why do you think? Women like power. Guys that don't have those jobs, sex is their power. They think it is. It really isn't. If that's a big if, I meet a woman again, I'm hoping she's within my age bracket, not much time for a 35 to 50-year-old anymore. Yeah, well, first of all, if you catch a woman in her 40s and early 50s, you might be dealing with menopause. So she's going to be really happy if you don't ask her for anything. Now you're going to have to deal with the storm that comes along with it. But, that's a different ballgame. But I just think that even with that, if she doesn't like you, just be honest, you know? Uh, and women are smart. Like women can tell when a guy's just out to get some. Like women can tell. And if they're fine with it, it's because they're looking for it too. We always think like, oh wow, girls are what do you think the girls are out at the club for? Maybe not as much as you because of the testosterone thing, but they're looking for the same thing. In a dating scenario, I think that conversation would have to come up. And after dating for a little while, if you're in your 50s or 60s, um, eh, that would be kind of like, well, what's wrong? Think about it. Now, teenagers, you go out a couple of months, well, not even a couple of months. You know what I mean? Eventually, the progression would be, and if it's not happening, it would be fair for the guy to think the woman's not really into him, or it would be fair for the guy to think there's a problem on that side. Because if she's really showing you affection and everything, but that's not happening, there's something going on. And she probably would be honest, as the guy would. But I think a woman would be more honest than the guy would, because a guy measure just that is everything to the guy. If humans had zero sex drive all of a sudden, um, it would find equilibrium like everything else does. I was going to say the cream would come to the top, but that's not a good. But you know what I mean? Uh, you it there would be a market correction. Probably very early on, you would see a very volatile stock market, and then it would seep. It would find its level because I think human beings, they put so much emphasis, men, of showing power, of being the aggressive macho guy. Well, you wouldn't know it now if you look at commercials. Commercials now, guys that look like they're pro wrestlers are crying because they're out of kale in the store. But you know what I mean. Yes, Danae. Yeah, it's part of your identity. You have to remember also, it's part of the identity because then you think you can't satisfy your partner and you're worried that you're going to disappoint your partner. See, now your dad might have been upset because he might have thought, oh my God, I'm not going to satisfy my partner. And then he feels doubly bad, you know? That's an interesting conversation to have with your 27-year-old daughter. And, you must have had a good relationship with him that he felt comfortable enough. Here's Johnny. How are you, man? My father's birthday was August 4th. Wow. I don't always need sex anymore. I'd rather go out, coffee, lunch, dinner, get to know a woman first. If sex happens, then fine. If it doesn't for me, it's okay. I don't push the male agenda. No, I agree. I agree. I don't think, first of all, at our age, that shouldn't be the only thing that is prevalent in your conversation or in your thought process of dating somebody. And I really do believe that that conversation both ways does happen when you're adults more. Yeah, the Leos are out in force. Yeah, wow, August 4th. Yeah, that was my dad's. See, there's a sign. Thank you for coming in here, brother. I hope you're doing well. Um, but look, the bottom line is whether you're still dating, thinking about getting back out in the scene, hanging up your spurs, giving your kids the proverbial car keys, you're not driving anymore. The bottom line is if you're just yourself, yeah, well, that's the thing, Rock, too. When you've lived a very full life, it's very easy to acquiesce because you've had your share of fun. So many people feel they've missed out on everything. So it would bother the person that never traveled if they couldn't get their passport again. Someone that's been all over the world, I've been there, done it. Yeah, Leos are supposed to be outgoing, right? Leo the lion, right? Hey, Frank. Vegas speaks. Um, but I do think that there comes a time when we all have that senior moment. And it's not a senior moment of not knowing what to say, it's a senior moment of knowing what to say. Make your senior moment special. You have a senior moment by being real and saying something that you wouldn't have said as a non-senior, opposed to forgetting something that you would have said. You see the difference? You could have a senior, hey, Highway 61. You can have a senior moment and it's real strong. You can. The great thing about being a senior is you get an automatic pass for certain things. And if you surprise them, it's surprising, right? Who is this here? Oh, I'm just getting a couple of texts. I'm sorry. But I use the senior moment as a time to liberate. I really do believe it works. I really do. I think that we all make mistakes. Look, anybody who tells you that they haven't made mistakes is full of shit. And I would just like never talk to them again. So, for all of you, God bless you all. Thank you for coming in. Don't get in trouble. I'm not coming to bail you out. It's midnight. All right. And God bless them, Rock. And I didn't forget about your brother. I feel very badly about that. I was thinking about that today, that you lost your brother at 48 during his birthday. I remember. And I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I'll probably see you guys during the weekend. Thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Be well.